Yep, just coming off Saturday and getting back on track after that bye week. Just how do you feel like the team played on Saturday?
You know, still not perfect. You're never going to get perfection, but I thought we played hard. You know, we didn't let the conditions bother us. Moved the ball pretty well for the most part. Was pleased with the defense in the first half, minus the drive right before half. You know, we gave up the one field goal. That was off a single run on a scramble where we had a level 2 bust. You know, guy was supposed to be looking at the quarterback, and he went and covered the vertical. And that skated him and got the first field goal. Then we had the turnover. Defense did a nice job of holding that to a 3-and-out. So I was real pleased going into half, minus that 2-minute drive. And then second half, it was a couple of plays that they hit us on. Offensively, liked what we did. Our special teams really flourished. Dom obviously had a big game off. He had the turnover early, but more than made up for it with what he did the rest of the football game. Just continue to look to build on it against a pretty darn good Western team. I mean, you look at them record-wise, and I just think it's indicative of the MIAA. Had every opportunity to beat UCO last weekend. Lost to a good Emporia team in overtime early in the year. Lost to a Kearney team that I think is proving that they're a good, solid football team. It was just impressive to watch how hard their kids played last weekend. So we're going to go down there. It's a rivalry game. We're going to get in a dogfight.
Dom, just how much, Coach just mentioned there, bouncing back from the fumble and kind of igniting the team there. How much pride do you take in kind of being that energizer when maybe the team needs a boost out there?
I take a huge, pride in that. My coaches, they know what my role is on this team is, as far as special teams. Obviously, we don't want to have fumbles. Fumbles have what's killed us this year. And, I just knew that, I had to keep my head held high, and I knew I was going to have opportunities. And, our defense does a good job of giving me opportunities and giving me opportunities to give us first downs when I can. And I just, take advantage of the opportunities and try to make the best out of those.
Coach, you mentioned the Western week. A lot of teams obviously consider Northwest a rival and everything like that, but what's Western week mean? Obviously closest geographically at least. What's that week mean to you?
It's always been a spirited rivalry. We try and take the one game approach to it. You're right. We have a lot of teams that consider us rivals, and Western's just on that list. But because of our proximity, and we know a lot of their players, they know a lot of us. So it's just it's a fun week. Over the years, I've become friends with a lot of those guys on those staffs. We cross paths recruiting. I've known a lot of them for multiple years now, and we have a good relationship. I think early when I first got here in '95 and '96, I don't know that it was such a good relationship, but over the years, I think there's a mutual respect, and that started with Jerry and Mel, and just kind of continued moving forward.
And, coming into it, their offense, since they made the quarterback switch, it's been a while now, but the Burwell kid in there gives them more of that running threat. What have you seen from kind of their offensive evolution?
Yeah, no doubt about it. They're based out of 10 personnel right now. That's kind of their home, which is a little bit different. A lot of teams in the league are playing with tight ends, and they're not. They lost the Hall kid early in the year. He's a really good football player. I've coached against him for multiple years, but adding 17 into the mix has really kind of changed the dynamic of their offense. Not only can he run the ball and design run plays, it's what he does with it when the play breaks down, and that's where he's hurt a lot of people that we've watched on tape.
Dom, Coach talked about kind of the Western and Northwest recruited a lot of the same guys that have played each other before. Do you got kind of some connections across the other sidelines that make this game kind of fun?
Obviously the Brandon Hall kid have been going against him all high school. The linebacker 21, Gaskin, is kind of like my cousin, so got a little bit of family over there. And just knowing the history of this program of Northwest and knowing the history between Mo West and Northwest, our coaches always said, they're going to come in and no matter what the record is, they're going to play us hard because, this game is like their Super Bowl. So, we just got to come in and, play our game and obviously minimize our mistakes and just play Northwest football, and we'll be just fine.
Is he actually your cousin, or is he just kind of like your cousin?
So just like Kind of, but not like blood related. But
Okay,
I've been knowing them.
You've known him forever. Gotcha.
forever, so.
I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, Coach, what's been the key? I mean, you look at the offense these last few weeks have really started to get going. Obviously, putting up some good points last week. What have you seen that side of the ball?
Just Chris ran the ball a little bit more. I thought that was good to see. We had good balance. Our receivers are continuing to get better. That's good. We're gonna face a stiff challenge this weekend. We followed Western a lot this season, so I've watched their defense a bunch. Because when you break down film, I mean that's kind of what I'm looking at. And their front's real solid. They do a lot of movement. So we're gonna have to be well versed in blocking movements, both in the run game and the passing game. 21 is a really, the guy that Dom mentioned is a really good football player. As a linebacker for them, he kind of makes them go. They're opportunistic as far as, if you throw bad balls, they're going to get turnovers. They did that to Central. They turned over Zimbrowski 3 times, and I think that was a big part of their victory that day. So, we're just going to have to play well.
And your defense, the front was getting after it on Saturday. What do you see, especially from that front four? Jake had a huge game and a bunch of tackles for the loss, obviously, for the whole unit.
Yeah, we were, they were a little different than what we feel like Western's going to be in the sense that they were trying to get the back out a bunch. So they were leaving a lot of man protection things, and the whole goal was to try and make them hold the ball a little bit. In the second half, we played a lot more man coverage, which forced them to hold the ball a little longer, tighten the pockets a little bit, and that allowed our pass rush to get home.
How challenging is it to put together the regional rankings right now with some of this parity and wins and losses?
It's a pain in the neck, and I had a follow-up conversation with it today with the chair of the entire thing. I mean, there's going to be some shuffling around in those regional rankings. I mean, where you see them today is probably not where you're going to see them. The continuity is probably not going to remain the same just simply because of the criteria that they look at. They're looking at things like head-to-head, but they're also looking at strength of schedule right now. And when you haven't had an entire body of work, the strength of schedule isn't finalized yet. And I'll give you an example. You got a 7-2 Emporia State team right now that's going to finish the season with Central Oklahoma Central Missouri this week and Central Oklahoma next week. That dramatically changes their SOS. And so that's going to be a little more in flux than, like what a national ranking would be, like when you look at Division I.
How do you balance that with, obviously, a lot of coaches on that committee, and you guys see the eye test, I'm sure, with the numbers, too. Like a UIndy, for example, a lot of their numbers are higher, and then they check at ninth. Like, how do you kind of balance that with
it's discussions within the region. It's you try and look at some of the crossover games and where teams in other leagues are, so like, I'm not going to get too far down the rabbit hole, but, GLIAC team beats a UIndy team. Well, where is that GLIAC team at? Where does it finish in the league? And kind of some of those things play into it a little bit.